David's been a client with us for a little while. And always the perspective here is for our clients to educate you on shifts they made and how you can do that too, whether you join a program or not, right? I always found when I go to events with somebody and they go, here's how I put my spin on this. Here's how I put my spin on that. So welcome, David. Give yourself a kind of a quick intro. And then when you joined, what was your biggest challenge? And what are a couple of things you shifted to get the results you're getting?
All right, thank you for asking. Yes, I am a very big fan of this program. I say that unabashedly, and nobody asked me to say that. Gosh, shifts, a lot of shifts. And I think the biggest shift that I've gone through is that I was reared in one of the big recruiting groups, went out on my own and thought, man, I was doing everything. And I thought, man, this is great. I didn't realize how much I was holding myself back. And what I can tell you is the biggest shift I've gone through is that I'm no longer doing this alone. I'll give you a little example. Through an odd thing that occurred, I ended up in the hospital for a week. And typically that shut my business down. Not last week. It kept flowing. I have a team, there's 4 of us. They were busy making calls, scheduling calls. They just turned right around and rescheduled them. My business stayed running without me. That's really exciting.
What was the shift you had to make to mentally be comfortable, or be comfortable being uncomfortable is maybe the better way to put it, going to a team model?
You know, to go to a team model, I had to do several things first. And I remember I was attending a webinar just like this one. It was November, year before last. And at the time, I approached webinars as, okay, I want to get one good point, and then I'm going to do something with it. It really wasn't helping much. And as I became aware of the TRU team, what I began to learn was, wait a minute, this isn't just a webinar and they disappear. You got a mindset coach, you've got a desk coach, you got Mike, you got a lot of coaching going on. Literally, if you need hand-holding or motivating in an area, you've got it. If you're stuck in a mindset, and you've been hearing Francis Walker talk about this, but I tell you what, the shift in thinking for me has been dramatic. I came from a background that really focused on what we all call the gap. That is, if your goal was 5 and you accomplished 3, they wanted to know, why didn't you accomplish 5? But a game mentality says, okay, you got 3, that's great. How can we help you get 2 more? And that's the kind of coaching that I found in this organization. I remember the moment it occurred to me, wait a minute, this is a team. This is a coaching team. This is not just a webinar. Things really started to get real. I began to learn, wait a minute, I was doing things that somebody could pay relatively little to could do. And in fact, I have a researcher now. What used to take me all day, it takes her hours. She's so much more efficient. In fact, she runs the whole database now. She does our duplicate check. She does all kinds of things that I used to waste my time for.
I want to put a flashlight on that,
Okay.
like a microscope on that, because one of the biggest things, and because you had it too, is one, people look, I don't know what your viewer research was, but it's the most common ones. It's expensive and/or no one can do research like me.
Yes.
I don't know, do you have one or both of those? And then because when you talk about that, now they have control of your database, talk a little bit about how you integrated them and what it freed up for you.
First came some reality checking about really paying attention with assistance from my coaches. What was I doing? How was I using my time? And it was really rather lopsided. What I discovered, it was not the way any of us here would have said, this is how I'm setting up my recruiting firm. Okay. The guy at the top doing all the research inefficiently, for example. Yeah, and I thought I was the best. Candidly, she runs circles around me. Okay. But yeah, I was focusing on several things. I can do it all. What took me a little longer to realize, I didn't know how to reach out to get a researcher. I didn't know what to do. There were so many things I didn't know. Suddenly I had a team to help me. All those resources became available.
Basically, they go out, they find the names, the contact information of the candidates or the companies you want to target. They load it into your database. They help you create the plan and the list, and then they clean up your old data. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't recognize the value of cleaning up all that old data you've got, especially been in the business 10, 20 years, that you're probably like, oh, I don't even want to bother calling because I haven't talked to them in 4 years. So talk a little, like you said, they clean up your data. Talk a little bit to that.
Sure. Duplicates tend to be a problem, especially when you have a number of people. And she routinely does all the duplicate cleaning. Everything that's routinely done with the database, she takes care of now. I get a little succinct daily email. She just checks off what she has accomplished for us. And it's really quite wonderful what she's able to do. She has even helped us overcome being sloppy with our metrics tracking, because she's after us every day. David, I didn't see your numbers yet. Okay. Charlie, what are your numbers? And it's interesting, if you have somebody coming to you looking for your metrics, you're more likely to track them and turn them in. And then we review them once a week. Incidentally, my team is all virtual, which has worked out beautifully. And I think, frankly, I don't know why we would all want to be in the same office. We don't need to be. This has been very effective. Incidentally, my researcher is overseas. And you say, well, why is that? When I'm finishing my day, we meet at 5 o'clock for about 15 minutes over Zoom. And I give her the assignments that we need to be focused on the next morning. When I open up my machine in the morning, the roll-ups are ready, phone numbers are ready. This system's ready to dial. She did it all night, which is her daytime. Okay.
Right.
I'd never thought of such a thing before.
I love hearing that. And then you talk about metrics. How are you using metrics now for predictable revenue and to like coach your team?
Definitely, it was reproven to me that tracking metrics in this business really makes sense. Tracking metrics leads to predictability. And the beauty of it is TRU doesn't just expect you to take care of it. You review this with your coach every time you meet. You both have some true indicators to look at. Let's face it, you might be making a lot of phone calls, but if you're not getting first-time interviews, okay, maybe some rethinking needs to go into that. Those numbers, the numbers won't lie. The numbers will tell you. And yes, for us as a team, we find it fun now. We come up with little contests. Okay, we get X number of first-time interviews over this month. This is what we're going to do, or everybody gets that. Okay, type of thing. Okay.
Putting all these things in place, what has that meant for your business, your revenue, your growth, your time?
It really has helped us clarify where to make adjustments, because it's very easy to keep flailing sometimes without realizing what it is you're not getting a grip on. For example, maybe using email campaigns, great, but maybe they're not effective. And ultimately, all these ideas you come up with, have you come up with something that's going to lead to first-time interviews? And for us, the mindset that this is all about first-time interviews. And you might say, yeah, but wait a minute, what about placements? Yeah, the placements will follow. We know that. But our focus is on the activities that lead to the first-time interviews. And tracking metrics helps us see, for example, what we need to accomplish to get that. Now, my team knows, so they know that, okay, on average, there's going to be X number of candidate calls tends to lead to a first-time interview. That's really helpful when you have one of those days where it's dragging along and it's voicemail heavy and people aren't answering the phone. It's nice to know the call counted anyway, because you know that on average, maybe it's 30 calls, maybe whatever your number is, the activity is leading somewhere. And metrics will help you get out of the fantasy land of thinking, and you'll see what the actual results are.
And what kind of, doing all that, what kind of growth has that led over the last year or so?
Oh, a lot more billings. A lot more billings. All of us as recruiters face this fallacy of confusing activity with accomplishment, right? And when you focus on metrics, you're really defining what activities are leading to accomplishment. And it really helps you leave a whole lot of stuff aside, which is another mindset change that I've gone through. And on my team, we call it Who Not How. That's the name of a book. Okay. In the TRU world, you can't believe some of the wonderful books you'll encounter and ideas you can bring into your business. But for us, a real big one is Who Not How. I had one yesterday. There was something that I intended to do. When I met with my researcher, I said, wait a minute. I realized I'm not following my talk. I need a who. not a how. I'm out of time. I need this accomplished. Will you do it, please? She was thrilled. That's what she's paid to do. She's not paid to watch me do it. She loves to do it. And sure enough, the results were ready first thing this morning. I was able to go right into phone calls, not having to build a roll-up list or try to look up phone numbers, which leads to another shift. It's more fun. Sure, it's more fun when you're billing. Okay, we all know that. It feels better. But when you're working with a team, and I'm not just talking about mine, when you're with TRU, you're part of a team. You really are. It's kind of like a family in a way. And you have everything you're looking for to keep you going. And it's fun, guys. Rediscovered having fun on the desk, not just because I made a placement today, but because we know where we are, we know where we want to go, and we're taking the steps that we've learned can be effective. That's fun.
Warms my heart to hear that, David. So just to clarify, I want to wrap up with you're growing revenue, you added a team, you're having more fun, and you're not working longer or harder, correct?
No, I'm not. Okay. That has been a joy.
Because that's what I think we were all brought up, right? To make good money, you've got to work hard. And nothing against the Puritan work ethic, but it's actually our whole thing with you and our other clients, right, is how do we add more value to our clients? How do we add more value to your team members, right? And as part of that formula, with you putting out less effort. Because if I can 2x my value to you as a client and you see me half as much, I think you'd rather have that than seeing me twice as much at half the value. As much as we can like each other, and like you said, part of a family, as little interaction as possible to grow your revenue and reduce your effort is really that construct. And that's really what I want you all to hear from a standpoint when you leave here and you start hopefully tracking metrics and outsourcing things like research.
To share one other thing, Mike, that I think is
David.
relevant here, because, and it has to do with Frances and her team. When you first think, oh, mindset, sure. But one of the most valuable things that I've learned is, and I heard you all talking about when I came in about limiting beliefs. That's really a big deal, especially in recruiter land. You were talking about call reluctance. Okay, trying to break that down. We do that. We do a lot of that. And we look at limiting beliefs. And I get off these calls with my mindset coach and I'm always pumped up. I'm really pumped up. Why? Because we take a candid look at this, but it's all in a very positive, non-rebuking way. I've never seen anything like it. And I eat it like candy. It's really good coaching.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying all that. Kind of the summary was, here's something that really, I think you were using metrics, but you weren't using them for the predictability. I loved how you said you shifted your focus from placements to first-time interviews, which is what we taught yesterday is the critical number. That knowing the way you just said it with the ease in your voice, I wanted to make sure everyone picked up it. We know if we get the interviews, the billings are going to follow. The way you just said it is like, it just is night follows day, which is absolutely true. We've never seen that not happen. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.